Welcome to the Starlight podcast. Here we discuss the effects of modern culture on our mental, physical, psychological, and spiritual lives through a traditional Kemetic perspective. We hope to provide insight into what we have learned our ancestors did traditionally to live harmoniously with nature. Let the starlight illuminate your mind and shine on the path to help grow the seeds of change. Come join us in the light. Ujahi, welcome to all of our listeners to our second episode. My name is Neferista Marusheta, and to my right...
Shamsaru Ujai.
So, again, welcome to our listeners. Thank you for coming back and joining us today. We want to open our podcast the traditional way by first and foremost giving honor, respect, and reverence to our master and founder of the Kebta, the Makru, Nebnabalamosamora Denabig. He is the reason why we are all here today, and we're able to be here today to share with you the knowledge of Kemetic culture, of traditional culture. Because of his great sacrifice, he maintained the culture in its purity and was able to bring that back to modern culture today. We also want to give honor to our temple in Burkina Faso, West Africa, and here in the States called the Manu, as well as giving great honor, respect, and reverence to all of my ancestors that are with me and all the ancestors of my co-host Shamsaru. For without them, we could not be here with you today. And also, of course, we want to give great honor, respect, and reverence to all the ancestors of all of our listeners today. For without them, you would not be here with us today. And finally, I would like to acknowledge the divine world and all the energies and entities that are here with us today. So each and every week, generally, we have our standard rundown for our podcast, which will normally be that we share hot topics. We have Pick a Card, Commandment of the Week, which will come from the 77 Divine Ordinances. We have the Griot's Corner, where we will feature different poets, musicians, and storytellers, followed by a portion of the I.R.I reading, or what the Greeks called the horoscope. But in today's episode, it's kind of a special episode today. We will do what we do, the Kebta Initiatives. I know for a lot of you, you've heard of the I.R.I Center's Kemetic School of Spirituality and Philosophy. But if you look on our website, now you see Kebta, the I.R.I Center. So we're going to be talking about that today. And then we will end with the Griot's Corner, which is our poetry reading by my co-host, Shamsaru Tankawar.
Yes, by me.
So, in today's segment, we are talking about what we do, the Kebta Initiatives. Now, for those of you who got a chance to listen to our first episode, it was really talking about who we are. Kebta, we are on a mission. And just to give you just a little bit of background, if you go to our page, www.theearthcenter.org, and check out our who we are, our mission page, our vision is that we aim to bridge the gap between modern societies and traditional Indigenous societies and address the cultural, educational, social, and environmental problems we all face. And we do this by facilitating constructive dialogue between people of diverse perspectives to reconcile modern systems of thought with those of Indigenous societies, and by providing forums for people of modern and traditional cultures to connect and learn from each other. You know, most times we really look at modern culture and we say, well, the ideology that's pushed out into the world is that modern culture is number one. Modern culture is giving us cutting edge of this, that, and the other, that everything else outside of this, Indigenous traditional cultures are considered third world or considered to be less than, considered to be almost barbaric. But when we really look at modern culture in every aspect, modern culture is the baby of the bunch. And when did we get to a point that we followed the baby instead of listening to the elder? So what we do here at KEBTA is we facilitate those conversations, constructive dialogues between the two, because those who really understand that this Western paradigm is falling understand that it's only going to be traditions that really will save us. Understanding that you can't keep polluting the water, polluting nature, and think that we'll be able to live. That you can't keep having food that is not even real food and think that our bodies are going to be healthy. That you keep putting drugs into your body for your health and actually think that you're going to be healthy. So being able to have those conversations, bridging that gap, allows us to learn and grow together and undo some of the dangerous things that have happened to the push of colonialism, imperialism, and this modern day culture. So to begin, again, if you go check out our website at www.theearthcenter.org, there is a link for who we are, and it's called I.R.I, or Indigenous Renaissance Initiative. And this page actually lets you know like a bit of who we are, what our initiatives are, the things that we are doing to facilitate those constructive dialogues and to begin to undo the things that modern culture has done throughout the diaspora that is dangerous to humanity. So let's chop it up about some of those initiatives that we have, Shamsru.
Mm-hmm. You want to start with pilgrimage?
Absolutely.
I'm so happy.
Absolutely. Listen.
Yeah, I know. That was a life altering experience for me. I never really took in consideration the power and the impact of traveling outside of the United States and going to a different country until I did it. And I saw, by doing so, the power and the pivotal position that I found myself in. You know, being a young boy from Baltimore, I never even really took in consideration going to Africa and what that would mean for me. But, you know, me and you going to that, you know, to Africa during COVID was one that was big, right?
Okay, I was about to ask you. So, like, when did you go? What year was it?
Yeah,
do you remember?
I don't know what year that was, but I know it was 3 years ago when the COVID lockdown.
2021.
Yeah.
2021.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the height of the lockdown.
So during the COVID lockdown, listen, shout out to Donald Trump, right? Because he was giving us money. Actually, it wasn't him, but we were getting stimulus packages, and I was benefiting greatly from that. And me and Neferista Medishetta actually went to pilgrimage. It was hard. I'm not going to say that it was easy. It was fun. I enjoyed it the whole entire time. But it was hard. It was necessary. But it was very beneficial. I got to see how I was outside of the energies of my mother and my family. You know, being over there, I couldn't really call my mom who was down the street and be like, "Hey, Ma, can I borrow $20?" No, you might not even have it. You might not even have Wi-Fi. You know, you might not even have signal. But being around the culture, enjoying the food, eating with the men, experiencing that was so beneficial.
Okay, you guys are like wondering like what's he talking about? Let me give just a little bit of context, and then I'm going to have some questions for Shamsru in regards, because this is going to be all about you, Shamsru, and your experience in pilgrimage. So if you go to our page and you click on the pilgrimage link, you get some information on pilgrimage. So during the pilgrimage to the original birthplace of humanity, that's deep, right? The original birthplace of humanity. The Earth Center offers opportunities for travelers to visit the temples, villages, traditional institutions, and historical sites in Western Merita, Merita being the original name for Africa, and immerse themselves into indigenous cultural practices and traditions, as well as see and experience many things that they would not experience during a touristic trip or during a journey taken just by themselves or alone. Pilgrimage allows pilgrims to continue the process of orienting themselves towards their ancestral culture and reintegrating Kemetic values and ways of life back into their lives. So the challenges that we see is many people around the world are looking to decolonize and are therefore seeking an alternative education. and a different perspective that will allow them to like reclaim their cultural roots. Others are also looking to reclaim their cultural roots, looking for deep healing and stability after many years of struggling to find solutions in like today's modern institutions and in modern medicine. However, a knowledge base truly outside the modern system is difficult and nearly impossible to access. So although the Kemetic culture and rich spiritual and healing traditions are still preserved in the continent of Merita or Africa, the portrayal of Africa and African spirituality to the public around the world is designed to deter people from seeking their shared heritage and healing. So, you know, when you think of Africa still to this day, like people think jungle and Tarzan. They think, Bill Gates and his internet was telling everybody that we had to get a vaccine over there in Merita in Africa because those were going to be the people hit hardest. And
that was crazy too.
Right. So our solution to people who are looking for traditional culture, who are looking to reclaim that culture, who are looking to regain spiritual practices that are authentic, that have its roots in tradition, to be able to get healing, not just being doctored up, but actual healing. The Earth Center's pilgrimage allows the pilgrim to have access to Kemetic culture and spiritual traditions as a way to help those travelers to heal, grow, and learn about their ancestral culture. You know, the traditional kingships and temples stand behind the work of the Earth Center, as Neb Naba Lamoso Moradenebig is one of the highest known spiritual masters and is renowned throughout Merita and the world. So because of this, the Earth Center pilgrimages provides opportunities to experience cultural and spiritual events and gain insight that are normally forbidden to outsiders. This access provides pilgrims the unprecedented chance to heal as they integrate their exposure and grow as cultural and spiritual revolutionaries. So now that you have a little bit of context on what pilgrimage is, I want to ask you, Shemzuru, what was a major difference that you experienced in Merita from, you know, being here in the West and going to traditional Africa? What would you say would be one of your major differences?
And when we were in Burkina Faso, Ouagadougou, for me, it was just the fact that the national language was not English, it was French. That was the biggest thing for me. And wanting to know what was being said, what was this, what was that, but not being able to ask. So I really had to just observe. That was the biggest thing for me there. Now, when we went to Togo and we were in Sokode, which is the upper aspect of Togo, I'm a country boy, right? You know, my grandfather is from Salisbury. Well, he's actually from Baxley, Georgia, and he lives in Salisbury right now. Well, Mardella, but anyway. But the country there is a different type of country, right? And because of it being so far away and then everything so far away, the only really way that you would get to it is by asking if you could, you know, is it favorable for you to go into town. But realistically, for me, outside of those borders represented a different world. And inside of the borders, not even, we were in the borders, but we were in the Het Aishat, which is the temple of Aishat, the healing center where we are. Being connected to nature at that point there and just wanting to experience as much energetic shifts there. I didn't actually want to leave. It was just, I never felt that when I was in Mardella Springs, that connection to nature, being inside of nature, and then having nature resonate with you and you resonate with it in a reciprocal relationship that's happening in real time. Now, granted, you know, when I'm in Mardella Springs and I'm there, I'm enjoying it. It's beautiful. It's this, it's that. But being inside of it and having to function in a way that the energies of the land are cleaning you up energetically, spiritually, and physically while you're growing and being a part of it. I never experienced that. So everything that happened while we were there, it was two times. It was times two, whether it was a spiritual bath where you got a bath with herbs and, it would affect the physical body and other aspects of you. It would happen two times because it wasn't just the bath. It was everything else that I was involved in. The fact that I was trying to now fit inside of a culture or inside of a group of people that this was their normal functionality. It wasn't my normal functionality. So it was harder for me, and I enjoyed it, but it was hard. It was hard. And, when I started to become accustomed to the ways, to the ebbs and flows of which I was experiencing there, when you wake up and you greet, you wash your face, you brush your teeth, you get ready to greet people. You don't get ready for your day. You essentially, you are getting ready for your day, but you're essentially getting ready to greet the elders. When the priest comes out, to greet the priest. And then the functionality of this was the normality of what you're experiencing, and then trying to figure out, okay, well, how then can I adjust myself to see all of what I need to see in real time, experiencing what I need to experience, and then take it in and then ask a question pertaining to whatever I got going on. It was just a lot. And it was really beautiful for me to do because it was hard for me.
So I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
With all that you just said, it made me think of something. So you being there, away from the major city, away from the marketplace where the stores and everything, a McDonald's, there in the bush. The bush is not just a bush that you see when you go outside your house, but it's being immersed in nature where there's not the traditional things that we here in modern culture are used to. You are immersed in nature. Did you feel more isolated in the bush or out in nature, or did you feel more connected?
I felt more connected. I never even considered any type of isolation. Because what would I be isolating myself from? I felt more connected to everything than I have ever felt connected to anything.
So here in the West, in your everyday life, even coming back home, did you feel more isolated or more connected?
Listen, when I came back home, when I came back to America, it was the hardest experience that I've ever had. Not even going, what that experience that we just had, that it was hard. It was a different type of hard. Being back here and walking by a person who wouldn't even look at you. Mm-hmm. You'd be around people and they rather acknowledge their devices. They rather acknowledge everything else that they got going on than you. Mm-hmm. You're eating with family, but you're eating alone. You're eating plates of dinner. It's time to dinner. It's time to prepare for dinner. And everybody then goes off. Like, it was so hard being back here that it took me about 2 years to really adjust back to being here, that I've been here my whole entire life.
Right. Okay.
So the connections there, I just knew, like, once you got your food, it wasn't your food. It's time for food. You go to your specific spot to eat and all of the men go there. Or you're a woman and all of the women go there. Or you're a child and all of the children go there. And even if you don't know their language, you have that camaraderie with everybody because you understand. Like, we can kind of figure it out, what you're saying. A prominent character for me there, my brother Aziz, Aziz don't really speak English. He speaks French, but me and him talked quite often, and it was so magical and amazing that I never even considered, even when I was by myself, I was never by myself.
Never alone.
I was never alone. And here, it's the total opposite, man.
You can be in a room full of people and be isolated.
Facts.
I'm going to just double back just to give people some context when he was saying that all the men eat together. Now, some of you may have seen or eaten in a traditional African setting, but generally all the food is put into one plate, and then everybody eats using their right hand, which is considered the clean hand, and everybody eats from that same bowl. You share the same food. You all share it together. And in doing that, there is a different level of an exchange. There is a closeness that comes when you eat all from the same plate. There's also even a certain level, I would even venture to say, of trust that you have to have, knowing that you're sitting and all of you eating from the same plate. You know that the person that's sitting next to you, they have to have, to some degree, a mentality of cleanliness.
Yeah.
They have to have a certain level of respect.
Yeah.
They have to have a certain level of care for you.
Hygiene.
And care for you. Hygiene. We're going to say that again. Hygiene. We're going to get into that because I know a lot of people will think because
that's gross.
Yeah, that's gross. And or even that if it's third world or it's Africa, they have to be dirty. They don't have nothing. They don't clean themselves.
On the contrary.
Furthest from the truth. Furthest from the truth.
Facts.
But also the fact that you also have to have a certain level of care. Because if you're all sitting together, you're not going to want to eat so much that will take away from your brother or your sister.
At all. And it was interesting, side note, it was interesting that whatever portion that we got, it was enough for everybody all the time.
Enough for everybody all the time. Now,
it was actually too much sometimes.
Yeah. Now,
it was way too much.
Isn't that crazy? Because you will get your own personal plate of food. And most of us will eat all that food, go back for seconds, or eat all that food and there not be enough. We are obese here, where I will just chime in, and not to be adding too much into your story today, but I ate the most food I ever had, I think, in my entire life and lost weight there.
Yo, because the food was real. Like, the reason why you got, you didn't have to eat and eat and eat and eat is because the food was doing what it was supposed to do.
Say it again.
Gang. The food was doing what it was supposed to do. And I realized that early on. I was like, yo, I really don't have to eat that much. I honestly, let's go back to that.
Okay.
I ate the most food that I've ever eaten there too. Bro, there was times where we eating so much that I was like, yo, we eating again? like we just ate 6 hours ago.
And the most to me, I have never ate so much meat in my entire life. And lose weight and the meat be bomb.
Look, when they brought out the meat again, I was like, can we please have a salad?
Oh my God.
It was so good. That it was so fresh and it was so clean. You can't even experience. Like, even if you go to a farm here, they cut it right in front of you and they do that. It was still cleaner over there.
Oh, absolutely.
And it was wild.
Absolutely. Like, watching the
what was his name? Billy Goat? Billy Goat.
Little Billy. We have a whole story. At some point we may even do the Billy Goat sagas because listen,
shout out to him.
We enjoyed watching Baby Billy Goat.
Man, Baby Billy Goat.
We enjoyed watching these goats out there, y'all. I mean, listen. You get so hooked on Netflix and chill. You get so hooked on all of your different streaming devices and check it. When you don't have it and you get to just watch nature and then become vested in nature and you end up enjoying, like the Billy Goats, there was a whole herd of Billy Goats and what they did and how they lived, we got vested. And this one goat was just like, he was tinier than everybody else, but he had so much feistiness.
Yeah, so much feistiness. You know what's interesting too on a sidebar inside of the concept of pilgrimage? This is a really big thing. So I don't even know how we're gonna do all of the other things to talk about, but being invested inside of nature, me being who I am, when I was a kid I always wanted to be a storm chaser or to be a meteorologist, right? So when I was over there just being inside of nature, I would love the way to watch the trees when they were blowing and the wind was blowing, and how everything would kind of you would see it. Like, now granted, if you go out in nature here you can still see it.
Absolutely.
But I'm seeing it with different eyes because one, I'm connected to the land. Me and the land, we solid, right? He fam. Okay. I'm inviting the whole entire Medi to the land to the cookout. It just is what it is. But no, on a serious note, but just watching the swaying of the leaves and the trees and how all of that kind of connected to the orchestration of everything else, right?
Yeah.
And even that one time when the storm came, it was so beautiful. Like, I was out there and I'm like, yo, the tin top huts, that might be dangerous, but this is really beautiful. And it wasn't. Everything was perfect because we fit inside of nature. We weren't fighting it. And a lot of the times in America, we're always fighting nature. That big storm that just happened, and all of the trees that were down trees, and the rain and all of that, we have a consistency of fighting the very thing that we need for survival.
You know, it's interesting you said fighting that, because in the midst of the storm, everybody just got under the pavilion.
Yeah.
You didn't do anything during the storm.
You just talk.
You just talk. You get out of the rain.
Quiet, you just talk.
And you stay out of the rain until the storm has passed.
Yep.
Where here, we don't stop for nothing.
Nope.
It can be a tornado warning.
Bro.
It can be a hurricane watch.
Bro.
It can be a severe thunderstorm.
Facts.
They can tell you on the actual thing. At this time, we would like people to please stay home and shelter inside.
Look,
and no one will shelter inside.
And they'll even tell you to evacuate certain
and
locations.
folks will still stay.
And they'll just be people like, yo,
I'm just going to stay here because this is my house.
Listen, I ain't going nowhere,
I'm not going nowhere. Me against the storm. I'm bigger than nature.
Facts.
But no, you're not.
Bro, and then the tree will fall right here and you like, oh, maybe I should leave. Why is that the condition of you leaving?
Listen.
If you look at the animals,
They roll out.
Yo, the
They
animal,
roll out.
like, have you ever seen a deer look at the sky?
What?
Bro, I seen a
Listen.
deer look at the sky
Have
and I
you
was like,
seen the
wherever
flock?
he going, I'm
going. The flock of birds get low. The birds just get low. They all of a sudden you see them all going in one other direction.
Man, I should go where they going.
That you should go.
We don't
where they
do
go.
that here.
We don't do that. We do not listen to the signs of nature.
Then we get upset. We get upset. The lady down the street from where we live, right, this is my house right here.
Right.
She cut her whole tree. Now that tree was a pivotal tree for the rest of the environment.
Wow.
She cut it down, and it feels to the very core of myself awkward. And then the birds, you can see the birds flying. The birds used to perch in a tree all the time.
Because they're confused. Where they going
now? They
now?
can't do that now. So it's like, if you keep cutting down nature and saying that you have this love for the environment, love for the community, but you continuously destroy it, nature will see what you're doing. It's not about your speech. It's about what your action is.
Listen, imagine if we talk about like, okay, we cut down the tree, we do this, we do that. And I know a lot of our listeners, a lot of people don't consider this, or maybe people are starting to. But what happens when nature decides to cut down your house?
Yo.
What happens when nature decides when we all know about how the ants are when they come in our house and the little botherment that we had. But imagine if the ants decide to rise up against us.
Facts.
Imagine if this is a kind of a hot topic, but sidebar note. On 695, during the storm, a tree fell in front of a woman and she was killed. Now, I'm not exactly sure if the tree fell on her or if she ran in the tree in the exact moment during that storms over the last 2 weeks. But there's no way that we are bigger than nature.
It can't. It's impossible.
It's
to be
impossible
big.
to be bigger than
because
nature.
Look, watch this. If it's not a tree falling, it's the Earth's tectonic tables moving, and a gaping hole will open up, and then you fall in.
And then you fall in.
And then it doesn't even have to be as big. It can be subtle. It can be subtle, because nature is an intelligent force that is far superior than what we can conceive, right? It can be so slight and subtle, and you're gone.
These waters lately. I know you said that you drove past Patapsco. We're in Baltimore, y'all, just to give you some context.
Shout
We're
out
in
to
Baltimore,
Maryland.
Baltimore, man, gang.
Yeah, gang.
In Baltimore, we have a park, a state park. It's called Patapsco State Park. Now, Patapsco, we're not going to go into it right now. That is a traditional Native American word. And the Patapsco State Park is part of the Patapsco River system. The river runs through it. And my brother Shamsuru and I go often to go swimming in the river.
To be honest.
Right. And so I know you said that you got to be there not long after it rained. And what did you see in regards to water?
It was the rain. It was like 2 minutes from the rain. Like the rain was coming in, but the waters, they were high and they were rushing. And it was beautiful, and it was powerful, and
So we know some of us have had experience, throughout the years, the floods. Some of us are seeing it more and more in the cities. But again, respect for nature. You can't fight the water.
No, you can't.
You can't fight the water.
You can't. It's impossible. Like how?
So
it's going to take you, and it's going to take you where it goes.
Any everything, the wind, the rain, the fire.
It's nothing that I want to try to fight.
So would you say that going on pilgrimage gave you a greater respect for nature?
Yes, it did. Because I didn't just get to see the physical aspect of it, right? I got to see how a culture of people or a group of people fit energetically and spiritually into it. Mm-hmm. And how, in a way, we all became one towards it. It wasn't like nature, us over here. It was like, we are in nature. We are here. We are part of this. And it like even like yesterday when I had to go, right? You get kind of caught up in the go mentality, the energetic mentality of how America fixates itself to be, that you can kind of lose yourself. Mm-hmm. And you don't even know that you're losing yourself until you're just mentally unstable, right?
Yes.
You're just going through it. And my stability, whatever happened for us in Merita, in Africa, in all of the aspects of where we were, my stability lies inside of nature. So whenever I'm losing it, whenever I just need something, I need a hug from something, I just need to be enveloped inside of something that's real, I go to nature.
Yeah, that's interesting that you said that. That's something that you feel that you need personally. But would it be safe to say that every human being needs that?
How could we not? I'm no different than anybody else.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's just, the thing is our attention, right? Mm-hmm. We got this concept that you pay attention. You pay attention. It's two words. You pay and attention. Mm-hmm. But what are you paying attention towards, right?
And what is the cost?
What is the cost of it? It's like, if you consistently take for example, you have a itch on your back. If you think about it, you're going to have to scratch your back, and you're going to feel, that itch, I'm scratching it now, it feels good. But what happens when you ignore it? Eventually it goes away. Right? That's the same thing with destruction. I mean, it's not going away. You're just not seeing how it's building up and cascading your life. Mm-hmm. You just think, it's a normal occurrence for me to drop a jar on the floor, clean up all the glass, and then step on glass that I cleaned up. No. You just don't see everything that has happened to get to that point. You see the point, and you quote unquote take care of the point. But it don't work like that, bro. It's a sequence. It's everything. Everything is always happening in accordance with everything else. Now, if you choose to just focus on one thing, if you pay attention to one thing, you'll miss the totality of everything else. That's the destruction of us here in the system. We miss it.
Yeah.
Ujai. Greetings, everyone. This is your producer, Big Geb Nejabu. I would like to first thank you, and I would like to thank your ancestors for allowing you to be here with us today. Today's episode is sponsored by Rising Firefly Productions, featuring the book The Philosophy Podium, a comedic perspective written by our master Naba Lamusa Morodenabig. You can check out, as well as get your copy from www.risingfirefly.org. Please go there to learn more and check it out.
That is a word from our sponsor. Thank you, Big Gab. Definitely check out the Sidereal calendar. The new year is coming out September 11th, so you definitely want to get yours now, pre-order, so that you are ready for the new Sidereal year. And if you have not taken a chance to dig into the Philosophy Podium, a Dogon perspective by Nebnaba Lamoso Morodenabig, if you want to learn about history in true history, not history written by those who were the victors or those who were the oppressors, because that will always slant to the oppressor, but history as told by the Dogon, the landlords, the keepers of the land, those who have kept these traditions for humanity in every way. So definitely check that out. So I'm gonna speak to, and I want you to talk about it. Mm-hmm. When you first got to Merita.
Yo.
What was your frustration? Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember my frustration, but I think it's funny. The side note bar, when I first got to Merita, I remember on the plane where I was so trying to played the song "The Circle of Life."
Okay, so you're on the right track.
You remember?
I remember you were playing The Circle of Life. I also remember, can I tell?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so we got there, and I remember you saying, when are we going to go see the elephants?
Bro, I just wanted to do something. I'm here, man. I do remember that. That was a big frustration. I just wanted to do something.
Do something.
I just wanted to do something. Other than what I was doing, I desperately wanted to do something.
So, would you say that it took you a minute to get used to the slower?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and it was hard. I remember in Grandmama's house, bro. Like I'm in there and I'm like, yo, how is Neferista so comfortable? She's just sitting there. Everybody's just sitting, and I'm just like sitting. I spent all this money to get here, and I'm just here in somebody's house, bro. I could have been in somebody's house back home in America, and it took me so long. Right? I was fighting it. I fought it. And then I was like, you know what? Since I can't go nowhere, I might as well stop trying to fight it because I'm tired.
When you stopped trying to fight it and you stayed still, did you begin to learn?
Bro, yes. And it was wild because look, at the same time, I'm reading The Alchemist at the same time.
Right.
And I'm trying to compare his situations to mine. And like he said something, I don't know what he said, but he was just pretty much like, you know, when things come up, it's just the way that we go about adjusting towards the things that come up. And I'm like, yeah, that's all cool and dandy, bro, but I'm in Africa. I'm trying to see the gazelle. But when I stopped trying to fight it, everything that needed to happen happened, and it was so beautiful. You know, it was so beautiful. I was like, I started to write in my my green book, you know, day I put the date up top, and I would give like a little snippet of what I would experience, like what theme that would be, and then what I learned from it. And it was so nice. Like, listen, like it was the medicine that I needed. It was the medicine that I needed. And it just took adjustment. It took big adjustments. I never had to do that here. I never had to do that. I never had to adjust like that here. I can just, if I got bored of doing one thing, I could go do another thing, you know?
So would it be safe to say that here there's always something taking up your mind, something that's always redirecting you, something that's always making it so that you don't have enough time to truly focus?
That was, I'm sorry to cut you off, but that was
ahead.
what I was experiencing yesterday. Now, because of my experience in Merita in Africa, I was able to see when things were occurring. Meaning, like, this is happening, I have the information gathered from that, and now I understand how I need to adjust, right? And it's like that transparency that I'm having with myself. If I am a person who's involved inside of a situation, what can I learn from that situation? So yesterday, like, I'm like losing it, right?
Okay.
I'm going through such a hard thing because I'm trying to fit into a world where I don't fit into anymore. And that's the biggest thing that I'm fighting. Like, yesterday I identified that I'm fighting myself. There's two aspects of me. There's the aspect of me of who I was, and the aspect of me of where I am and who I'm going to be. Okay. And it's like the two are starting to combat each other because I'm just in the Western culture. Yeah. And the Western culture has principles that you have to abide to in order to survive.
Well, that forces himself on you, right?
Exactly. But those principles only exist inside of the illusion because once you leave that, right, they don't exist anymore like that.
And would you have known that if you stayed here?
I wouldn't, because it wasn't until I came back that I realized that I actually left the matrix. Because, you know, my education permitted that, there is a matrix and therefore there is an opportunity of leaving. Right. But my conditioning said, because my education was so strong, that I left. And I wasn't experiencing the same things, the same pulls, the same tethers that everybody was experiencing here. The illusion was I thought that I already left, when in actuality, I didn't. I just had a new understanding that the doorway is here. You can choose to walk through it, right? It wasn't until me being in Merita for 6 weeks
Okay.
that I literally opened the door and I saw Neo and I was like, yo, bro. And he was like, bro, it is so good to see you. And I was like, but you don't even speak, you speak French. Yes, I do. But I also speak Gormanche. I also speak Tim. I also speak Mosi. I also speak Medu. You know, like I speak all of these things, but you're able to understand me because we're one.
So would it be safe to say then, someone who is trying to reclaim their cultural heritage, someone who's digging into their ancestry, someone who is looking to reintroduce or even reclaim or get some sort of traditional way of living, some sort of natural way of living in their life, regardless of color, that and no matter how many books they read, no matter how many classes they take, if they stay inside of Western culture,
it's never gonna work.
They're just book smart.
Yeah,
they just don't know what they don't know.
Because the beauty of it is, it's not gonna work. If you have a key, right, and you have a hologram of a lock, yeah, you can stick the key in the hologram of the lock, but you ain't doing anything.
You're unlocking nothing, right? But you think you are.
But you think you are. And the illusion, the beauty of the illusion, there is even beauty in the illusion, right? Which is wild to think about. But the beauty inside of the illusion is that you think that you have achieved it.
Absolutely. So if you're here and you've read all those books, you consider yourself a revolutionary, you think you're an activist, and I'm not taking away from anybody who is,
not taking away
anybody
from
who's
anything.
doing all those things.
Facts.
Shout out to you and shout out for all that you've done to help further us as a people and humanity as a whole. But would it be safe to say that to really take yourself to the next level as a revolutionary, as an activist, you have to go home?
You have to. Because everything is home. Not just your self-identification, but everything, right? And even if you don't know exactly the specific tribe in which you come from, you're in a country, the continent of where that exists. You have to go home. And the thing is, like, because you are going home, as we started this podcast, we acknowledge the invisible forces, our ancestors, all of those things that stand with us. They get to charge up. They get to charge up. You going home, you know, just like you have if I'm tired, I need to go rest on my bed and I go to sleep and I wake up. Right. By you going home, all of those things that don't have to sleep now get the energetic source and power up. So yeah.
Okay, so I have one more question for you. What was your view or perspective on traditional culture before going on pilgrimage?
Just before pilgrimage or before?
Just before pilgrimage.
I don't know. I don't even think I really had. Traditional culture was just hard. It was just always a bunch of rules and things that you couldn't do, but it was just demanding, like, you know.
So then would you say that now you understand the necessity of rules and rigidity anymore now?
Yeah, I do. And I support it.
I know, right? That's right.
And because life is so big, right? You can't just take the little small thing and think that you have everything.
You hear the time, everyone?
Yeah, that's our time, gang.
That's our time for this topic. But listen, this is a good segue to let everybody know you've heard part of his story. We're going to get into more of that in later episodes. But we are upon our 30th year anniversary of the Kebta being created and being in the diaspora. And in this 30-year anniversary, there are going to be 30-year celebrations and ceremonies that are going to be done in Merita for pilgrimage this year. It's a very, very special year for the Kebta. So be listening out, be looking in your emails, because more information, because it's not just for members of the Earth Center, of the Kebta, but it's for anyone who would like to reclaim their natural position in life, to begin to understand what our ancestors did and how that is really going to save humanity. I always say this: I don't care who you are, what color, what race, what ethnicity, what background, white, black, whatever, where you are in the world, you should experience traditional Africa one time, at least one time in your life. And this year would be the best year to do that. So with that being said, we are finished our topic of the day for who we are in this episode, pilgrimage. So with that being said,
Ujai, once again, this is your producer, Big Geb, and I would like to take this time to introduce a new segment that we like to call the Griot's Corner. In the Griot's Corner, we will feature different poets, musicians, and storytellers. Today's Griot Corner will feature our brother, Shimsaru Tenkaur, as he presents his poem entitled,
The Affixed. If you take a moment out of your busy day and observe the sway that trees portray, then you may say their figurines look like scenes reflecting to the mind. In this illustration, you may find a seedless sorrow hidden in time, deeply buried into the earth, or you may miss its apparent hurt. See, nature is a natural connection of interwoven convections that speak to itself and move together as one. When something happens in one location, they all feel it as one beat, taking the mirages across the land, and wanderers' footprints embedded into the crystalline sand, in seamless ravines dried up from their harboring dreams. The twinkle twisted in the form of Sphinx sprinkles its residue on the head of the ibis as it extends its wings, spanning across the seas, voyaging with volition. Volcanic ash imbued the sky. The vicinity is covered in a thick tar. Viscous droplets of vermilion red run down their crowns. Whips wipe away the anguish felt within their cocoon. They are being called out, summoned by something lingering under the moon. The trees view this horror that plagiarizes the righteousness inside of their hearts. They cry out in their languages, Atefu Nefer, bathed in symbolic gestures inside of the dark. Their whimpers wrestle the swaying of the leaves. They become a part of nature, more so than just a human. Their poses become tree. Tree. Trees mingle through the unseen vortex and sectors sanctioned by this plane. We listen and understand our fears, hearing the howling in the wind, cursing the coldness that attaches to our bodies, marinating in the feeling of the warmth that wicks our skin. That's when we love it, not knowing in the coldness of the air our ancestors are dying. Once again, their bodies starving in the aftermath of the molestation from the tongue of the whip. We shiver as they cry out, lowering their crowns before being loaded onto ship. One cattle connected by chains, piercing their armor, wilting their brain. We shiver, our bodies not yet adjusted to their fear. For we are here, and the momentum of the catastrophe marks their corpses like smears, smudges in time, bodies only surviving in mind. Memory, the vine begins to climb because it knows not of what else to do. They are with us, able bodies surviving by praying to the night sky. They are with us, like barcodes clumped together, tucked in pockets. They are, like the trees, in some way stuck in form, swaying rapidly when evolving in storm. Redness revolts over the grass, seeing the seedling grow. Grains embed the ground. Overhead the crows crow. The crow in the tree. Kunta. Sometimes trees hold the souls of the oppressed. Scattered bodies woven into the roots tuck themselves underground, like railroads underground and hip-hop clubs. The best things hold a secret in them, seed, soil burying itself in need to feel the earth, dirt, blackness woven so deep to feel itself alive. It is the crust where we come from, the crust or the cusp of time, making matter into flamboyant, kaleidoscopic, optical utopians with time. We see dreams levitate to paradise only if you can look into the face of despair. The helix became a wanderlust spirit, spirited in the dust of the abstract air. It is the bodies ripped out of the matrix to become brand new, like Nubian diadems taking the place of golden hues. It is us they fear, with the persistent need to swing the most beautiful things on trees, ornaments ordained to hang until that thing falls so free. War is the love of the illusion, able to foster the desperation of others to the will of the heart. The blind soldier hears the battle cry, Bullets whiz by his art. Echoes locate forms through the invisible fears. Sometimes trees hold the souls of the oppressed. A moment in time until the one oppressed is drawn near. Like constellations, fractals of light twinkle in the obsidian, still able to bring beauty into the darkness that is hidden in space. Defaced and chased through the woods, our ancestors waded through the woods. Wander lust between the trees, stuck like figurines, hoping that in time their disposition would be our position, positioned to gather their magic out of the fabric of the bark that holds them in sway, cocoons stuck in tunes that decay. We are our ancestors, projected inside a new space and time, yet our minds are like their bodies, displaced in time, swollen, holding this place in time, thinking we are not like them. Our skin made magic material, made of matter and mineral, mind to mimic the cosmos, an order so luminous we were made to think it's Illuminati, novus ordo seclorum, ad infinitum, ego sum simulationum. I am like them, a tree holding a soul oppressed, expressed inside of my roots compressed, time being the fabric of my skin, form founded in the formula of my ka. I am like them, a tree, affixed.
That was Shimzaru, everyone. Shimzaru Tenkawar. Shimzaru is a Maryland-based poet. He also hosts open mics and is a author of 3 books. You can check him out on Instagram at Shemzheru_. That's SHEMZHERU_. Check out the brother. Give him his props. Now we'll get back into today's episode. Dua.
So that ends our episode today of the Starlight podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I am Neferista Merusheta.
And I am Shemzheru Tenkawar.
And over there on our audio team is
Big Geb Nejabu.
And we thank you all for listening today. Join us next week as we continue our discussion on who we are, and we would talk about the more about a pilgrimage, as well as the other initiatives that we have through the Kebta. Later, y'all.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Starlight podcast. To learn more about Bayouali Earth Energy readings, go to www.risingfirefly.org. To book a spiritual reading or a health consultation, go to www.anhlife.org. And if you're interested in learning more about Kemetic culture, visit our website at www.theearthcenter.org. Don't forget to like, share, and follow us on all social media platforms at Kebta and on Facebook, The Earth Center. May you shine as bright as the starlight in the night. Iriru. Peace.
Peace.